We are recording.
Okay.
And let me pull up. The agenda. Can you all see the agenda?
Very tip top.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
can make it small. Whoops, smaller.
No,
Is that
bigger
better?
was better. No, bigger was better. I think
No,
just had to
bigger
page
was
it up.
better. Okay,
Yep.
You just had to page it up a little bit. That's good.
good.
All
Okay.
right.
I just want y'all to know if I start speaking German, it's Diane's fault because in Germany, people leave their office lights off to save energy and they look like these silhouettes with the bright windows behind them. So I might start thinking that way.
Guten Tag.
Exactly. Mach dein Licht on.
That's right.
All right. I guess the first thing is the approval of the April 21st minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at them? They were emailed out. If not, they're hopefully pull up.
I
have
am
Sure.
pulling them up. Let's see. Minutes. Can you see them?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. There's so much.
Right.
Everybody take a look and kind of let us know when you're
I'm
done
through.
or if you have any issues. You're through. Sarah Lynn's through. I'm done.
I'm a slow reader.
Does my air conditioner make a horrible rumble?
Don't even hear it.
Okay.
I don't hear it. I don't hear
Okay.
it.
Good, good.
Does anyone still need time? I guess I'll take a lack of an answer as a no. So, does anyone have any changes to the minutes?
What do you call it? I move we accept them as is.
Okay. Do I hear a second? Pardon? I couldn't hear if anybody seconded it.
Second.
Okay.
Was that Brian Slade? Was that you?
Yes,
Matt
ma'am.
Smith.
Yeah.
Oh, both you all seconded? Somebody's gonna have to be a thirded.
Go
No.
with Matt. He's a lot smarter than I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Matt may have been first. I just couldn't hear it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All righty. We'll take that off and go back to the agenda. Do you guys see the agenda okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I guess the first item is the stakeholder questionnaire. Discuss the drafted stakeholder questionnaires and recovering self-haul waste.
Did
So
we
you
send
guys
this
have-
out, Diane? Did we send this out with the packet?
Pete, I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
Did we send this out with the packet for people to see?
I did not,
No.
because you said that you had already sent it out, but I do have it ready to share and I have it in my PowerPoint.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think we got a packet now.
let me go ahead and share it.
You have it up? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, can everybody see it? Yes.
Yeah. You might want to make it a little bigger. It's hard for me to read.
Okay. How's that?
It's better. Thank you.
Okay, so one of the tasks at the last committee meeting was that we would develop a sort of questionnaire for potential stakeholders in this self-haul category. And so part of that I felt like was drafting a cover letter and giving them information that is they can use for reference. Otherwise, they're not going to have a clue as to what we're talking about. So I apologize that this didn't get to everybody earlier, but more or less what I did was tell them that we were looking at recommendations overall, but 2 recommendations center on self-haul waste. Self-haul waste being defined as primarily residential materials delivered directly to a disposal facility by the original generator in a car, van, or small truck. That really is a very specific set of customers that we're talking about. Part of that was going to be looking at the study. There's a short PowerPoint that I was basically what you guys have already seen in the last meeting, and ordinances and further information about the Waste Management District. I feel like we really only have 4 stakeholders to cover everybody here because it's basically disposal facilities at this point that we're asking the questions. So I came up and I started working with questions based upon the discussion that we had at the last meeting. And remember that these are geared toward the disposal facilities that would be impacted. So what is the benefits and challenges of self-haul customers using your facility? That could be that they have a bunch of people coming when they have garbage trucks coming. It could be that these people are problems, they cause problems, they come in unorganized, they don't follow traffic patterns, whatever it could be. The second question was, what material contained in your customer's self-haul waste would you consider to be the low-hanging fruit for recovery? So they already understand what their self-haul customers are bringing in. They should. It's their disposal facility. So of that material, which one of them would be easy for them to recover and get out of the waste stream? The next question, what materials within your customer self-haul waste would be the easiest for you to get to a business or nonprofit organization for reuse or recycling? So that may mean that it's something that you already have a customer for, an outlet for, somebody that you can take it to already. It's an easy thing for you to process. 4, what materials in your customer self-haul waste would be the most challenging for you to get to a business or nonprofit organization for reuse or recycling? That could be anything from small debris to something that has no value or it has a really high cost. So we're looking for the problem materials here. Now, this next question, number 5, is a little bit more going about the cost of the material disposal or recovery. So for which of the following materials do you currently have an available outlet? Is the sum of the cost to get it to them plus any payments for tipping fees higher, the same, or lower than your gate rate for junk or garbage? And basically went through the different materials that we've discussed at our last meeting: single stream, ferrous metal, non-ferrous metal, organics, which includes yard waste, trees, pallets, untreated, unpainted wood, shingles, electronics, carpet padding, and aggregates. Number 6, are there certain times of the day better for your facility to handle self-haul customers? And I take that to be something of an advantage. If there was a regulation or education that would say that if you're going to use one of these facilities for self-haul, you're better coming between the hours of this and this. Some of the facilities get really busy when their big trucks start to come in from routes, and you get small pickup trucks next to big roll-offs or garbage trucks. It's a safety issue. So that was one of the things that I kind of wanted to know is there a better time of day that we could direct people to come?
Good thinking.
The next is, what should be considered when developing new requirements for your business, having an area for self-haul customers to separate their loads into individual dumpsters for materials? And if you can tell, the questions are kind of getting a little bit more broad to let them kind of start to elaborate, because each one of their conditions might be different. So that's kind of the way I phrased that question. Number 8, if the waste district decided to create regulations to divert more self-haul waste from area landfills, what might preclude you from offering additional services? What's their bottom line? You know, what is it that they just can't do? And the last one, would you be willing to participate as a stakeholder in discussions exploring recovery options of self-hauled waste materials? So 9 questions, trying to get to some of the issues that we need to know before we want to kind of move forward. Are we missing anything? Any of these questions need to be thrown out. What else do I need to do here?
I'll make a few comments. First off, could you make it just a touch larger and then go up and down? I see a lot of people squinting, and I'm squinting. Thank you. That's good. Yeah.
On the side of your screen, if you bump the side of your screen, there should be a plus minus button that that can help you enlarge what's on your screen.
Okay, now I see it. Thank you. I thought only you had control of that. Okay. I got a couple of minor things, and of course, I want to hear from the business people. But the first question I would add, what are the benefits and what are the challenges? Because when I first read that, I kind of combined the two of them. Not till we got further down, I see you're really trying to get benefits versus challenges. So it's one of Sarah Lynn's type things, where just clarify the question. So if you just said, what are the benefits and what are the challenges? To me, that's a little more clear. That's just my opinion. Okay, it makes it clear. Number 5, did we not talk about anything with plastics? Do they not bring any plastic type material of any sort?
I think that what we did was put that into single stream.
Okay.
The reason for that was we wanted to keep the number of streams as small as we could.
Okay. Yeah, because there could be other things too. Yeah. And then just another overall question. Do you want them to answer these questions on this page? In other words, do you want to leave space between the questions for them to answer? Or are you expecting them to answer by email, or expecting them to answer on a separate piece of paper, or just logistically, how do you want them to respond to this? Just a thought.
I think that
think about
we can give them those instructions. I think for now, just keeping them together.
It's easier for us to see. I'm just thinking in terms of how you get your response and how much you want from people helps to set them up front. So. Okay, I'm done.
I was going to say we could convert this to an online form, and I think that'd be a way to make it easier for the participants and us as we collect them and get the responses coming in.
Yeah, good. All right.
That's fine, and I think that's a good idea. I think in our instructions, we make it that form, but it also can be a printable form. Or in the instructions, they can say if they just want to use a different piece of paper and answer the questions, they can do it however they want to do it.
All right. Otherwise, I think it's a good start, and thank you. All right, go to the next. Whoever wants to add or question.
My thought is that we want the recipient of this survey to engage with us, and therefore, and I would argue they're receiving it because they're a stakeholder. But anyway, I think we should clarify what is it we're asking them to do by being a stakeholder. And really, I'd rather we use a different word, but I think we should say something like, would you be willing to meet with a committee that is currently drafting a possible new ordinance or making recommendations? But, you know, put some meat on that bone so that somebody knows what we're really asking them.
Mhm. Yeah. I can go ahead and I can make that edit later, so I can think about how to do that.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Did we catch everything that we need? Again, going back to this, an important part of this is to be able to give them the recommendations, what the recommendation is from the PowerPoint. Give them further reading material so that they can take their time and answer this. If they have questions, they can always contact us. If they want us to come out and do a site visit, we can do that so that they can show us, because I think that might be what some of them would prefer to do. But whatever we can do to engage, to get them to become part of this process is going to be very important. If there aren't any more questions, I will get this, the couple changes and get it to the disposal facilities. That would be the main stakeholders in this process. That's going to be Rumpke Transfer, Republic Transfer, Waste Management of Kentucky Landfill, and the Louisville Metro Waste Reduction Center.
Hey, Pete, this is Brian.
Mhm.
I was just reading the study and, just going through the short term on page 33 of the executive summary. And a question that I always have with this category, there are 6 different categories that are identified for self-haul in the study in terms of excess for short term. And here's my question. There are a lot of small haulers and independent contractors that will be impacted by those different categories at the disposal sites. Does that make them an interested party in this? Is my question.
Well, using the definition for a self-haul waste from the study, primarily residential materials delivered directly to a disposal facility by the original generator in a car, van, or small truck.
Right.
That doesn't
Yeah.
sound like it meets.
Understand. There are so many, and I'm really particularly thinking of the last year in COVID. How many residents are doing small remodeling projects that have very small dumpsters or trailers that have been coming to the area disposal sites?
Mhm.
That's all.
Yeah, and
That's
I
what
think
made me
that
think of it.
I think that would include be included in the small truck with a trailer. I
Yeah,
don't think most people have in their residential life have a dump trailer that they put around. And unless they're into something else, I don't understand. But to me, this is a very narrow set of customers, and I think that that's kind of what we want to keep this as. Now, if this is set up and there is a business or a self-haul customer that not a self-haul customer, but it's a business that is doing shingles, there's nothing that precludes them from dumping at the shingle spot.
mhm.
They can use it, but that's not who we're trying to target here. I think a lot of the shingle stuff is already taking place. There's already locations for shingles. And most of these businesses that you're talking about already have outlets for many of these materials. You're not going to get too much carpet from a deconstruction business. or whatever that I think would be using this. And you probably won't get a great big volume of aggregates because a business is already going to know that they can take aggregates to ICA.
Well, and my thought is the people who are doing home remodeling right now are probably going to be finished before another regulation can be on the books.
That is true. Things are certainly changing in a hurry.
Yeah. Some of the people that would be impacted by the survey are not on the call, that are on the committee. Should we send that out to the full committee before we send out the questionnaire? Just for comments? Bruce, you're on here.
Yes, I'm on here.
But
We got two Bruces. Sorry, Bruce. I was thinking Bruce Burrow. Hi, Bruce Blue. Sorry about that. I was thinking, should that go to the full committee for any comments, is my thought.
I mean, my instinct is we are driving ourselves nuts with the smallest turn of the screw each month. I think everybody would like to get this show on the road.
And you know, there is a report out at the advisory committee that can include this. It's right after this meeting.
And the other thing is, this industry is not shy. They will talk amongst themselves, and if they're unhappy or want to be included, they'll make it be known to us. And nobody's going to tell them they can't. So let's go.
We already basically have 3 of the stakeholders present. We have representative from Rumpke, representatives from the Metro Government, WRC, and we have a representative from the Waste Management Outer Loop Landfill. The only people that we don't really have represented as a full committee member is Republic Services. And Todd Praher, who is on this, I see him sitting down there at the bottom of my screen. He is also, while he's not a voting member, Todd has been coming to these meetings for a long time. So I think that we really have all 4 stakeholders, and they probably all 4 are attuned to what's going on. And aside from those 4 stakeholders and residential customers that are hauling their own stuff, I think we kind of covered what we need to cover. But that's up to you guys.
I move we run with the ball.
Brian, how do you feel about that, or anybody else?
I think we have a second with Tim Darst. Tim, you gave a thumbs up. I guess maybe on you.
Yes, I'll second that.
Thank you.
We do have the full committee meeting right after this, so. Okay, I guess it's approved.
No, we have a first, and we have a second.
Got to take a vote.
I'll take a vote. Okay. All in favor?
Uh,
All opposed? I didn't see any opposed. Does anybody else? Like, it's either unanimous or some people didn't vote. I'm not sure.
There's a whole lot of microphones turned off, but maybe we should use the digital voting system.
Do you want to do a roll call?
It's totally up to staff. I'll defer to you guys.
That's up to the committee. The staff's okay. I think that the yays have it.
Well,
myself.
Isn't there something here where we can just push a button and the hand goes up digitally and everybody
There
can
is.
see it?
There is. If everybody hits the up button, that's 2.
Where is that button?
Oh, it's out to the left, is it? I don't know. Where is it, you guys?
It's at
I
the
can't
bottom
find it.
right
I'm
of
bored.
my WebEx screen.
Oh, it's called
It's a little
reactions
smiley-
down at the
smiley
bottom.
with a plus sign.
If it doesn't stay.
Yeah, it just pops up. Everybody should be able to see it. 3, 4, 5.
I don't see it, but I'm for it.
I'm sorry, but I'm still looking to try and find it.
Look down on the bottom, there should be a smiley face with the
Okay.
plus sign on it.
Got it.
Unanimous.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a
A
unanimous
decision.
vote.
We've made a decision. Yay.
Unanimous vote. So
Hey,
my
we're all
next
high
step,
tech. We're all high tech. Okay.
my next step is to go ahead and get this completed up with those little minor changes and get it to who would be the best person at each one of those companies. And I can get with Bruce Burrow, Todd, and I can also send it to Marie, who's on the full committee. I don't think that she'll be here today, but I can get it to her. And once we do that, then we'll be looking for a response, and hopefully we can start to have a dialogue with the stakeholders and decide how we want to move forward, or if we want to move forward on this recommendation. I feel like progress has been made.
Right on.
Good. Excellent. Next agenda item. By the way, thank you to all the staff and anybody that worked on that. Appreciate your help.
No problem. What was our next one? Stakeholder questionnaire.
Oh. Do you see?
I see ICI self-haul recommendation. Bullet point, discuss 109 board approved ICI and self-haul recommendations. Okay. Can we put up the matrix?
Yeah. Here's the matrix. Am I muted?
No,
We can hear you.
we can hear you.
Okay. Here's the matrix with everything written. Do you want that one or you just want the title one? Is the title good enough? Let's do the title.
This one is
That
fine.
one? Okay,
Yeah.
good.
So
I can
the,
make-
the other one that's been, and I'm assuming that we're talking about these standards and signage and adequate infrastructure, ICI, the completed proposal. And I don't know, who all has seen that proposal that was already approved by the board? Anybody? Well, it's been over a year or so ago, so if you did, which you probably did, you
We
probably
forgot.
don't remember it. So to be able to pull that up and give people time to really kind of read it, I think will probably take some time. Do we have anything, let me take a look, that we can kind of review that with? Honestly, I didn't anticipate getting this far.
No comment. Okay.
I think it's in the G drive with the first meeting. What first meeting did we have in February, March? It's in the paperwork there.
It's not in February.
Well, what's our intent here, to try and pick a topic or what are we trying?
Well, I think that what we had talked about at the last meeting was that this would be the next thing that we kind of wanted to review to see what we wanted to do with it. We're not picking a topic yet. To my understanding, we haven't really decided on anything that we're going to dive deep into yet. We're information gathering to make that decision. Recommendation. see. Okay, I believe that this was what was approved by the board, but I honestly.
Oh, I remember
can't-
that one. It's 5 pages long, I think.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know that I think it's got the final content, but we did break out the examples into a separate document. It's the same information. But more or less, the advisory committee proposes that the 109 board authorize the committee to move the standards for signage and adequate infrastructure ICI sector recommendation to the design phase, beginning with answering the following key design questions. Who would be accountable for actions outlined in the standard? Which occupancy types, hotels, grocery stores, commercial and sizes would be affected? How will we define access to adequate recycling containers for affected premises, i.e. recycling containers must be so many feet away from garbage containers? How will we inform or instruct occupants or tenants or affected properties effectively? Will we use a phased-in schedule to allow time for agencies, providers, and customers to adjust to any new requirements? How will we solicit and incorporate input from stakeholders, owners, or operators of the affected premises, as well as occupants from the various affected premises into the program design process? And how will we define and keep current the list of divertible materials in context of the changing markets and recycling goals? There was a note. The committee proposes that the development of standards for signage, containers, and adequate infrastructure recommendation be combined with technical assistance and standards for signage and adequate infrastructure recommendation for multifamily residential to reduce confusion and redundancy. So, in other words, I think that more or less the board decided that this is something that we're interested in. Why don't you guys flesh it out a little bit more? Get your stakeholders involved, see what you come up with, and come back to us. That's kind of the way I took what the board done. Of course, it's been a long time ago. So, you know, there was plenty of backgrounds. There was plenty of examples. Austin, Texas was one of the examples. And they have one of these systems already in place. They're not Louisville. Louisville is individual. So what works there might not work here. Vermont Recycling Act was another one that was given as an example of somebody that we can look at for ideas. All of them had websites: Boulder, Colorado, Orlando, Chicago. We had a current business pact that had already been created a while back, but all of these things were there as resources for people to see. And honestly, when you look at it, all of them can be set up anywhere from mandatory to voluntary to educational. So that is something that would need to be looked at. A long-term phase in, I don't know, short-term, however you want to do it. But I think that, you know, you don't want to get too far. You just wanted to get to a point where we knew a little bit more about it so that we can pull the right stakeholders in and start in earnest discussion about this. I think it's something that the board would like to move towards if we can come up with the right program. Thoughts?
Process suggestion? I don't know how many there are of us, but it looks on the side that maybe we could volunteer or be assigned 2 of us to each one of the 5 examples and be challenged to come to some understanding of it and then report back at the next meeting what we thought the most applicable ideas to Louisville were. Because it would be that responsibility of having to report to the rest of the group might challenge us to pay closer attention and be more thoughtful and actually get it done.
Are you asking that each, I guess, committee member look at
Yes.
one of the examples or other cities to
Yes.
see what they like, what they don't like,
Uh-huh.
and how it could possibly apply to Louisville?
Yes. And obviously, anything that we would need to adjust, but I'm just thinking to be asked to read up on 5 of them with no particular goal is less interesting and compelling. But if we had the responsibility of collaborating with the colleague to come back and give a coherent but very succinct assessment, it might get us off the dime and get into this. That was a popular suggestion, I can tell.
I think it's a great idea, but I think I would prefer that the committee send staff down to Austin, Texas to do some research for about a couple weeks.
Make sure the tacos aren't poisonous.
Exactly right.
Oh,
Yeah. I don't know what to say. Does anybody have any other input?
I think that's a good idea. And we can, kind of allow us to do a deep dive without taking up everyone's time to do it. Divide and conquer.
right.
Julie, would you like to do Austin with me? We can pick that one.
All right,
Okay.
and do.
What are the other 4? Vermont and
make the page.
Boulder and what else?
Hang on a second. Vermont. Now, Vermont was a state program.
Right.
Boulder, obviously more of a city, kind of more like us. Orlando is a city. From looking at these things, and if I remember right, Chicago probably had the least amount there. Orlando was pretty good. Boulder was pretty good. And Austin was pretty good. And the reason that I'm saying that, and in all honesty, that for the simplest, the shortest was probably Austin's. And looking at their website and how they set up the education part of this was really impressive. Everything, all the toolkits that they had, people can fill in their information onto a template and it would print the signage, down to mailers, to notify people that would be affected by your organization. I thought Orlando or Texas, Austin, Texas was a really good program. How it could roll out here, is the big debate and doesn't work clearly here. But I think Austin was probably the most like what we have. So just with that in mind,
I trust Pete's judgment on this. If you already looked at these, Pete, maybe we don't need to dig into them too much.
Right.
Well, my thought is Pete is trying in every way he can to get us engaged and to take some ownership of this process. And we just need to find a way that we can get ourselves motivated to do it. And I was going to offer that since I've had some dealings with Boulder's food recycling program, I would volunteer to do Boulder if this is a route that we want to take, that we divvy things up.
The only thing we don't want to do is create 5 more exact copies of these reports that then we have 5 things for everybody to look at. So I guess the goal is to just summarize these and pick out what we as an individual think might be useful for us in Louisville.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not talking, a dissertation, but
Right. We don't want to create 5 new copies of these
Right.
things, right?
But I think we have the luxury of cherry picking the ideas from anybody we want and assembling them into a coherent package for Louisville.
Okay.
And if we each focused on what is it that we like or don't like about each of these, that would be something constructive and give us something to build on.
Okay. So just a very simple couple bullets of here's what I like and here's what I don't like or something like that. Okay.
Yeah, and I don't want to make it be too simple because I want people to sincerely give it their thoughts, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll do Orlando.
Thank you, Bruce.
I'll do Chicago. I'm from there originally.
Sorry, who said Orlando? I'm so sorry.
Bruce Blue.
I'll do Chicago. Greg. Do we want 2 people on each one? Does anybody else want to sign up for some of these?
Chicago.
That would be my hope.
Yeah. What do we?
Pete, can you send me the information to get on? Because I can't see it.
You can't see it.
I
Can't see it on the
login
screen.
Information for Orlando.
You just be able to push the control button and then put your cursor over top of the blue, and it should take you to their site.
We're not going to do it during this meeting, right? So can't you just email this again back to us, even though we've had it before, and then we could pick the links ourselves, right?
I can send you links and help get you on there, Bruce.
I thought this was for us to do on the side before the next meeting.
It is. I was just showing.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Now that's what I'm envisioning, is that by the next meeting, somebody, if not 2 of us each, is reporting on each one of these so we can get off the dime and get to work. Patience is not my virtue.
Okay. So is everybody signed up? Anybody else going to sign up for anything?
I can't see how many there are on this report. I remember the report that was sent, but I can't see it. And I've been through my book. I can't find that in the book. So
the places that we're talking about, I think are 5 of them: Austin, Texas, Vermont, Boulder, Orlando, Chicago.
Okay.
And what I'll do is I'll make sure I send this document after the meeting, or Diane, can you send that document after the meeting? And so everybody will have it fresh, and to kind of freshen up in their mind about what this whole thing was. Okay. And you should be able to use the links to get to wherever you want to go. The staff will also be looking at them and doing the same thing based upon our knowledge. I think our goal here, again, going back to what Sarah Lynn was saying, is that we need to get a general knowledge of what could be here, what we could do, some good things, how it could fit with Louisville, educate ourselves as to what one of these programs even look like. And then we have a better idea of how to engage stakeholders in what we want them to do. I can say that we want to build a recycling program in ICI and ask a bunch of people to come to it. But unless we have a little bit of an idea about describing what a recycling program is, everybody comes in with different concepts of what a recycling program is even talking about. We have to be able to explain a little bit about what we're talking about, what the recommendation is when we call in a stakeholder to get a process going.
And as another example, when I did do some research on Boulder's food composting program several years ago, they were wrestling with the problem that food service workers are disproportionately nowadays non-English speakers or non-native speakers, and how could they communicate to those folks what they're supposed to do. And I'm hoping that just by doing this process, we'll find some good advice on that.
Yeah.
Has anybody signed up for Vermont? I think we got Austin and Boulder and Chicago and Orlando covered. Has anybody got Vermont?
I'm fine with an assignment with someone else. I think we have 8 people on the committee. Is that correct, Pete?
Let's see, 1,
Or Karen?
7.
I think Bruce Blue made the 8th.
Okay. Yeah.
Is Kendrick still on this committee?
Ken is still on the committee, yes.
Okay,
yes.
then we
He
have
couldn't-
8.
He couldn't be here today.
Yes.
Yeah, then we have 8. So part of that would be 2 people.
Okay. Well, we can contact them and ask them if they would want to take up Vermont.
Yeah, if we could send that out, I'd like to take a look at it, if that'd be okay.
So
To make a selection.
what
think
are you asking, Brian?
Can you send this to us?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay,
And
that'd
then
be
we'll put
great.
the names of who is signed up and say the other people sign up for pick. So we get like, and I guess staff too then, right?
Yeah. I think the goal here is to get people to look at some of these other programs to do a little bit of education
Right.
before
And
we
to
really get started.
The key thing is to absorb and apply to us.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah. So,
Pete, do you remember what month that was sent to the board? I've got my whole notes here and I'm trying to find it.
There's probably a date at the top of it.
I don't know. We'll see if
And of
we
course
can figure that out.
Yeah,
And,
we have a different committee structure now and one committee's gone, so,
Good point.
yeah.
let's see. Brian.
It looked like we discussed it on August 21st of 2019.
I'm impressed.
yeah, you're good.
Bruce, we have 10, Greg, we have 10 minutes left.
Okay. Well, I think we're done with the second thing. So I'm looking at the agenda. The next thing is public input. Anyone wishing to be heard on items not pertaining to the agenda?
This is Jerry McGough. If I may make a brief comment.
Okay.
Were you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I have this is the first time I've sat in on one of your self-haul committees. I had a situation last fall that opened my eyes to self-haul and debris disposal that I had not experienced before. I think Pete and I have talked a couple of times. I have some rental properties and things of that type in various parts of the county. I had a storage building that needed to be torn down, and I tried getting rid of the sheets of plywood that had initially been built with and had rotted. And I was amazed. I went out to Outer Loop to the landfill. To simply take a trailer in was $200. Didn't make any difference how much I had on it, how little I had on it. Pull a trailer in was $200. And I then did further investigating and came down to Maryland. And I was amazed. My first time to ever come to Maryland. And I just thought that getting through that process was very confusing. I pulled into a couple of gates and was told, no, you can't come in here until after you've paid and things of that type. And ultimately have to go up a hill and find a place to turn around and come back down the hill and then go inside the gate, pay for it, and then come back to one of the gates I'd already gone into. And I would ask, I don't know if it's your committee or who, since you're self-hauling, somebody needs to look at some of these things from the perspective of the user who doesn't have familiarity with those things. Now, I'm sure things will be changed before I have to bring another load down to Meriwether to get rid of. But how many people, if it were easier to dispose of things, wouldn't be dumping it on the side of the road? I'm on Lake Forest now on the board of directors out here, and we're looking at a piece of property that's involved some possible development. I went over and looked at that last week. I was amazed how much trash and garbage is dumped. And I thought it's a real good place to just dump something and not have to worry about being seen. Now, I come back with, maybe if it were easier to get rid of some of this stuff, we wouldn't be having people dump it all the time. My rant for the day.
Well, my clarifying question is it the ease or the cost? I suspect that the people who have to get rid of waste more than once in a blue moon know how, but don't want to pay those fees.
I don't know about everybody. I know for me, it was primarily simply, how do I do it? How to go about it? I mean, I won't say I wouldn't pay $200 if that was the only option, but I would have been screaming loud to somebody if I had to pay $200 to get rid of about 8 sheets of rotten plywood. 65 I thought was enough, but just looking at it, if it were more available, if people could get it dumped more freely, easier, whatever, however you want to do it. I worked with Arch Moore as governor of West Virginia, appointed me years ago to a project up there cleaning up rivers. And we hired a lot of high school kids and stuff to just go out and clean up rivers and things. I became very intense on this idea of people throwing trash. I don't like it. I don't want it to occur. But got to have some way to get rid of it other than just dumping it somewhere. And I would look at some of the, maybe it is money, maybe it is just simply convenience, but whatever. I would ask that someone look at that concept.
Jerry, if I may, the WRC is a old incinerator building, not built for what it's doing.
Yep.
Trying to make that work for self-haul. And honestly, what makes it confusing is the fact that, you know, we do have multiple things going on up there. I think that when you create something like this, it is definitely something that you have to take a look at. Is space and organization, making it simple and making it consistent. And part of this, the recommendation was making certain things consistent across the board so that there is familiarity no matter where you go, and signage and things like that. That would make it easier for the person that never goes to a place like this, that, you know, they understand what it is. The other part of it that would come along with something like this is education.
Yes.
And teaching people how to do this and the options that they have out there to do something like this, which can only be a good thing. You know, I understand that it has drawbacks, but with a process that's done right, maybe we improve access. Maybe we improve recovery. Maybe we improve the fact that people know where to go instead of dumping it on the side of the road. And while price is part of that equation, we also have to look at all those other things in trying to decide on how we want to move forward. So I think it's a really good point. And it does, I appreciate the fact that you spoke up and said it, because I think that's a perspective from somebody that uses a facility that's not in the solid waste industry. I think it's your stakeholder.
I mean, that's my point. Somewhere it needs to be looked at. If I'm reading a document, if I write a document, I have trouble finding my mistakes in that document because I'm into that. Somebody else has written a document and I read it, I can see all their mistakes. And I'm thinking this situation is possibly, and it goes in with government quite often. I've been involved with these things for 30 years or so. sometimes we need that set of eyes that's not familiar with the process to look at it and tell us where our problems are. And that's what I felt when I was trying to get rid of that waste that I was trying to dispose of as a person not in the system, not involved, not going through this. I found issues that caused me, if I hadn't been so intense on not dumping garbage, I understood why a lot of people would take it and dump it on the side of the street instead of going through that process. And I would just ask, don't look at it from the perspective of the user who doesn't do it every day. How can it be made simpler?
Gotcha.
Excellent point. Thank you. And I guess that's a staff issue, not the subcommittee, I think, but
I wasn't sure where you all
Yeah.
have self-hauls, so I
appreciate it.
One thing that I would like to say is that if you have a place that has a lot of illegal dumping, please contact me and let me know where it's at. We have about 86 cameras that we're in process of installing. And I can tell you that we are having a bonanza right now. We want those locations and we want to be effective with them. I want to be so busy trying to make impounds that I can't do anything else.
That's fine. I will be in touch with you in the next day or so.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you.
Good. All right. I think the agenda has only the next meeting, next item is the next meeting next month, but I think the time is wrong. It says 2 to 3. I think that's confusing the committees again.
I am so sorry.
Okay. So I assume our meeting will be next June 16th at 3:15 like always.
June 16th at 3:15, like always.
Okay. All right. Given that it's almost 4:15, does anybody have anything else?
Nope.
Does anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I move.
Sarah Lynn? Anybody second it?
I'll second.
Second.
Okay. I think we don't have to vote on that. I think meeting's adjourned, right?
Yep. See y'all in a bit.
Okay.
Bye, y'all.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Greg. I appreciate it.